Welcome to Wrong Time Watch. My name is Kevin, and today we're looking at the Island Watch Islander ISL 21. MSRP on this watch is $299 from the Island Watch website. Before we look at the watch, let's take a quick look at the packaging. It's a simple cardboard box, which is perfectly fine with me. I'd rather the money go towards the watch than packaging. And then it just sits on this watch roll here, watch pad here. So simple enough, nice and small, easy to ship around. So this watch is essentially an upgraded Seiko SKX 013. Since they're not making the SKX 013 anymore, you can purchase a basically a modified, upgraded version from Island Watch. Case size is almost exactly the same. Looks the same to me, but this has drilled lugs, but has the same curve shape case shape. Polish on the sides, brushed on the top. Nice little chamfer here. So reminds me very much of my one of my most favorite watches, which would be the SKX 009 or SKX 007, just a smaller version of that. So it has sapphire crystal. It has an H36 movement, and the old SKX had 7S26 movement, so you could not hand wind or hack those, which you can with this. So hand winding, as the name implies, you can pull the crown out. It is a screw down crown, 200 meter water resistant. So you unscrew the crown, and then you're in the hand winding position. So you are powering up the mainspring and giving the watch more power reserve. And next position out, you're in the day and date set position. So you turn it that way, and it does the day. Turn it the other way, and it'll change the date. And pull the crown all the way out, and you notice the second hand stops. That's what's called hacking. And it allows you to coordinate the time with the atomic clock or however you want to do it. So we'll push that back in. So talking about the crown, it does have a signed crown. The handset on here is styled after the Marine Master 300. The dial on this is very good looking. I really like the sunburst dials. Green is starting to grow on me. Not necessarily one of my favorite colors, but this is a good looking watch. So the bracelet does have solid links, solid end links. It does have a safety clasp here, as all dive watches should have. Dual pushers. And this portion here is milled. This portion is stamped with 3 micro adjusts. So very nicely done. The bracelet is all brushed. So back to the front of the watch, this does have a sapphire bezel insert, which I have been a big fan of, but in my unboxing, somebody pointed out how it kind of makes the watch look a little cheap. And after reading that comment, I kind of agree. The printing does not look as crisp if you have it covered by a sapphire crystal. The bezel turns amazing. This is probably one of the best bezels I've felt on a watch in a long time. I don't know how he did this, but this bezel is amazing. I do like the coin edge bezel. What's funny though is it happened to me again, is if I not turn in the bezel and then I go to turn it, it almost feels like it's stuck, but it's not. I don't know why that is. I guess just because it's so rock solid and firm. Really well done on this watch. But if you look at the triangle, you can kind of see it just doesn't look really crisp like it would on a watch with a sapphire crystal. Actually, I have one right over here. So another Islander. I think this is the ISL 02. I have this on the Clockwork Synergy FKM rubber strap with the metal end links. So very nice. But anyway, you can see this triangle just looks a little more crisp because this is ceramic bezel insert versus sapphire. It looks like we're getting a bit of glare off of that too. So there we go, just an impromptu discussion about the sapphire bezel insert, but it's not going to scratch. And also this is a lumed insert, and the lume will be protected from this sapphire crystal, sapphire bezel. I guess it is a sapphire crystal. So anyway, nice, real nice dome on that crystal there. Sapphire crystal with AR coating applied underneath. So this watch is very cool. I do enjoy this watch. I just prefer the SKX 007 size. Okay, dimensions on this watch. I'm going to talk about the male end links, or the male center links of the end links. So I prefer watches that have female end links in the center here. So the lug to lug is actual based off the case and not the bracelet. So if you consider the lug to lug of these fixed center links is 51.4 millimeter, but then coming out to the actual watch case itself, 44.3. The watch diameter is 38, which is a fine size. One thing that is kind of strange on this watch is it's really thick. This watch is 15.4 millimeter thick. So since it's a 38 millimeter diameter, that thickness is, I would say, 40% of the diameter. It seems to be too thick for the size of the watch. If it was a larger watch, it'd be a little more proportional. Lug width is 20 millimeter. Crown size 5.9 millimeter. And the bracelet does taper down a bit, so that's always nice to have, tapering bracelet. Speaking of the bracelet, I did have a little bit of an issue sizing the bracelet. I had this issue on more than one link too, and it could be an issue with me, but I have sized quite a few watch bracelets now. So you'll notice here this has a blind hole, meaning that there is no hole on this side, but there's a hole on this side for the pin to go down and through. And this is kind of a weird pin. This is not a solid pin, so the head kind of floats on this shaft here. I think you can see that. See how it wiggles around? So I think that may have been an issue with me sizing the bracelet. This may have caused an issue. I mean, obviously I did size it. It just took a little bit longer than I would have expected it to. If I can demonstrate on camera or not. I think the issue was the shaft wasn't going all the way down, and then when I was screwing in the head, it just wasn't going in for me. Yeah, right there is kind of binding, so back it up a little bit. It clicked. Now there we go. So that's always a good tip too, is when you want to put a screw in, you can rotate it backwards, and then when you hear and feel it click, then you can go ahead and screw it down. It's just kind of a trick to help with preventing cross threading. So also talking about the blind hole, I like having holes on both sides in case there's an issue with the screw. You can kind of push it from the other side with a spring bar tool. But anyway, enough of that. Well, one more negative, I guess. It's not really a negative. It's just it's not going to cut you, but there are sharp edges on here, which normally you're never really going to feel that, except for I noticed it when I'm putting the watch on. It kind of rubs across my arm. And also the bottom of this milled clasp is a sharper edge as well, but not really a big deal. And lastly, this is kind of sharp here. But in normal day-to-day, you're really not going to notice that. I guess I just noticed it. I don't know why, but anyway. So let's put it on wrist here. You can see it on my 6.5-inch wrist with 52mm wristband. So the center links don't quite overhang my wrist, but they're getting pretty close to overhanging. But they do curve down, so it's probably not that big of a deal. I would just prefer for that center link to be articulating as well. As an example of that, my SKX 009 with this cheap jangly bracelet, which I really do like a lot. But you can see this has the female end link. Not really, but kind of. It's just cheap stamped. So anyway, since we're here, we can do a size comparison. 38mm versus 42mm. This has been upgraded to a sapphire crystal as well. But with all that said, for $299, I don't think you can go wrong with this watch as long as you're okay with the size and the thickness. This really is quite thick, 15.4mm. The Island Watch website calls it 13mm, and I'm not sure how they can get to that measurement. Even when I measured it without the crystal, I came up with, I think it was 14. I measured out to the bezel here. So just keep that in mind. If you don't mind a thick watch, then I don't think you can go wrong with buying this watch. I think it's good quality, good value for the money. All right, I think I've covered everything there. So we'll do one more shot on the wrist. We'll zoom out a bit, and then we can look at the Lume. So zoom out a little bit for a little bit different perspective here. The same size as the SKX 009. So let me know in the comment sections what style you watch, what style of watch you prefer, the SKX 013 or the big brother, the SKX 007. Actually, I'm not sure which one's the original, if the 13 or the 7 came out first. But anyway, I'll pause the video and we can check out the Lume. I really do like this handset though. This Marine Master handset. It's pretty cool looking. Get a little pop of red on that second hand there. Alrighty, let's check out the Lume. Alright, so of course on the left we have the SKX, I'm sorry, the Lume on this thing is kind of crazy looking on camera. It kind of looks like that by eye, but anyway, on the left we have the ISL 21. On the right we have my SKX 013 to compare the Lume. Yeah, that bezel still is pretty bright. The Lume is applied below the paint on the bezel, so it's kind of a triple layer thing. You have a Lume, it would all be Lume, and then you would paint on the green, and then the sapphire goes on top of that. So apparently the Lume is just bleeding through that paint. It looks kind of cool actually. It looks like a ghosted bezel. But anyway, there's a Lume comparison. I would say the indices are brighter on the SKX 013 on the right, but the hands, I would say the hands are brighter on the Islander. And of course the bezel on the Islander is blowing away the bezel on the SKX 013. So there we go. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for the time. If you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and do so. I greatly appreciate it. Like the video and leave a comment below. Talk to you guys soon.